Hi, I'm going to be talking about gambling a lot. Gambling is bad. I'm going to be talking about how gambling is bad. Do not gamble. This is disclaimer. Okay, bye. Love you. Bye.
Hey, can I smash? These comments never
This content is sponsored by Stake. Gamble responsibly.
How is that going to work?
Stake features a selection of hundreds of popular games from various providers, creating an unbeatable gaming experience.
You have to check out Stake. You will not regret this one bit. Download it now.
Today, guys, we're going to be talking about Stake.
Hey, I'm on vacation.
No, not that steak. And definitely not the Asmongold steak either.
So the steak is pretty much done. So if you want to take a look, I'll show you the steak. This looks like a good ass fucking steak. So you take a look at this.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
With Stake being a gambling platform that holds various online casinos that consist of a lot of different casino games, to say that its mere existence is controversial would be an understatement. Obviously you, the average terminally online nigga that watches my channel for some reason, knows Stake from the many different sponsorships that became of it, from creators that normally gamble like Aiden Ross, XQC, and Trainwrecks, just to name a few.
Yes! Oh my god!
Wait up, bro.
That is massive.
That's juice, bro. Finally, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Again. Oh my god!
Holy shit!
Please,
Wait, that's a lot.
That's juicy. That's juicy, baby. That's juicy, baby. That's juicy.
Stake garnered publicity in 2022 via advertising deals with streaming personalities such as Trainwrecks TV, XQC, and Drake, under which they were provided with credit to gambling during streams on Twitch. The surge in gambling streams tied to these deals and others led to scrutiny, resulting in Twitch announcing in September of 2022 that it would prohibit streams of online slots, roulette, and dice games on services that are not licensed to operate in the United States or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient customer protection, a ban that would include Stake. As the description briefly mentioned, this came to a head with a lot of people as they saw the promotion of gambling problematic. This was coupled with the drama of a content creator named Slicker, who, to sum it up, had taken away hundreds of thousands of dollars to fuel a gambling addiction that originally stemmed from Counter-Strike, a popular online game that a lot of people play. This led to an entire movement by some of the most popular Twitch streamers to fully get rid of gambling sponsorships, and thus soon after, Twitch put out an official statement that addressed it by acknowledging the harm and announcing that the type of content is eviscerated off the planet. At Twitch, we continuously evolve our community guidelines to balance creative expression with community safety as the internet and our community itself evolves. After monitoring the update's impact for the last year, as well as hearing directly from you, it became clear that some people were circumventing those rules. As such, starting October 18th, we are further tightening our rules to also prohibit any streaming of listed sites that contain slots, roulette, and dice games that are unlicensed in the US or other jurisdictions that offer consumer protections like deposit limits, waiting periods, and age verification systems. At launch, prohibited sites will include Stake.com, Rollbit.com, Duelbits.com, and Rubit.com. However, we may identify other sites as we move forward. By the way, just a quick side note about that whole situation. It's funny how they fully banned promotion of gambling sites, which is fine, but one, they didn't get rid of gambling as a whole and people were okay with it, so that's weird. But the literal game that had gotten Slicker into gambling in the first place, Counter-Strike, is just completely fine. It's still a popular category that thousands of people view all the time. Even though Slicker said during a stream to not play it and warned people that it's a huge gateway into gambling.
Except Abraham Jihad Mohammed. And this is why the wall's up, so we don't get people like Slicker in our country.
Anyways, if you guys noticed in the statement from Twitch, one of the gambling companies mentioned was Stake. They outright mentioned it in their rule set. And they wouldn't be all too fond of that, since once again, they were clearly seeing a lot of benefits from having Twitch streamers constantly promoted. And thus, through the collaboration of both them and streamers like Trainwrecks and Aiden Ross, they would retaliate by working together and launching their own site, Kick.
But Kick is also known for its brazenly loose terms of service, being marketed by their co-owner and friend of this channel, Aiden Ross, as the ultimate beacon of free speech for this very reason. Unrelated, but in preparation for this video, I did sit down and watch an Aiden Ross stream, and I kid you not, this is what he was talking about when I first tuned in.
Don't call me weird, I'm about to say. Y'all make your bro pee by like putting his hand in the water.
What?
He peed his pants. It was a drunk night. He blacked out.
Okay.
I took my 2 fingers and rubbed it on his crotch area with the pee. So I got like pee in my fingers. and he opened his mouth and I put his own pee in his mouth.
Alright, beautiful. Amazing. The only thing that's important to note about this is that, for better or for worse, this got their name out there to the mainstream, allowing them to have their name constantly out there for people to remember. Now, Steak at this point is pretty well known for constantly just being able to money on some Mr. Krabs action, and this formula of them constantly having a waterfall of money come through basically allows Steak to just throw it at people to promote their website and whatnot, and to be on Kick. This is ultimately how they got these insane deals with streamers with like tens of millions of dollars being offered constantly, and ended up having them stream on Kick, allowing them to take some of Twitch's most popular streamers and ultimately allowing their website to compete with Twitch for a time, since there is that appeal of the rules being more loose. Now recently, it seems that Steak has done this strategy yet again, but this time it's with popular Twitter accounts. Guys, I just want to make this clear, guys. I'm not calling it X, okay? Just let it go. The movement's over. I'm not gonna have a video be demonetized because YouTube thinks I'm talking about, you know, like. Now there is a lot of really popular Twitter accounts, like for example Scuba Ryan or Feared Buck, just to provide a few examples. Those guys may be notorious for you. These guys end up getting millions of eyes on them just by doing something as simple as clipping a viral moment on another streamer's stream and posting it on Twitter as soon as they can. And low-key, they work really well as news channels too for streaming culture in general. There's also other accounts that dedicate themselves to clipping only one specific streamer's clips, like for example this Kai Cenat Plug channel, which I think Kai himself even acknowledges and shouts out from time to time. Your #1 source for everything on Kai Cenat: Twitch streams, YouTube videos, media. Not impersonating Kai Cenat, by the way. We love him though. Either way, because those accounts do this stuff religiously, and they usually have to be on top with a lot of streamers, it would make sense they would want a little bag from there. I mean, because Twitter definitely isn't doing it. This is where a lot of times, when you check the account of a clipping channel, you'll see some kind of sponsor in their bio somewhere. For example, this is an Aiden Ross VODs account I found, and as you can see, you see news and daily clips for Aiden Ross, and right here, you see the sponsored by Steak logo right there. Steak isn't the only account that does this type of thing. Just to provide another example, there's accounts that are actually partnered with Rubit, which is another online casino company. But obviously the most iconic and notorious one, and the company that's definitely benefiting the most through this method, is definitely Steak, which honestly I feel like they're growing these accounts in a lab or something. There is so many of them, and every time they take a video or clip or post it to their account, it'll be featured with an obnoxious Steak watermark on the bottom of it.
What? Ross?
Yes, it is Aiden motherfucking Ross. Are you Tanny motherfucking Marie? Threesome! Let's go!
I'm 13!
Now, at first, it used to be just the Steak logo there on the bottom right, but later on, probably because of backlash, they actually had changed the logo to what we all know it now as. It'll have the logo in like the bottom right corner, and then have this thin strip of black with tiny white text saying to gamble responsibly. And this has been a thing for a pretty long time now, going on for almost half a year, and it seems to all start with that Fearbuck account that I told you guys before, or at least this was when other people had called it out initially. Now, Fearbuck was doing regular posting of clips, but people were noticing that his clips were featuring the logo and actually had called it out. Clipper Fearbuck is now putting brands on other people's content without permission and running them as ads for Steak. And this was funny because when this happened, he just flat out lied. It's good that you are showing concern, just noticing that they all like that. Frankly, I find whatever clip that is good on my timeline and post it. I don't usually look out for that. And no, I'm not being paid by Steak, like what? Meanwhile, he then forgot to take into account the affiliate link directly going to the website from his bio, and he pretty much got caught with his pants down. Then community notes came in and made sure to note some key things, which is the reason why this was bad in the first place, and that was that the ad for Steak was undisclosed, which it clearly was since he was trying to hide it when people called him out on it. This ultimately violates the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission, in which fines could reach up to a pretty hefty sum of around $50,000, all because of a post on Twitter. Here's the official website for the Federal Trade Commission. Disclosures 101 for social media influencers. Do you work with brands or recommend or endorse products? If so, you need to comply with the law when making these recommendations. One key is to make a good disclosure of your relationship to the brand. If you endorse a product through social media, your endorsement message should make it obvious when you have a relationship, aka a material connection with the brand. A material connection to the brand includes a personal, family, or employment relationship, or a financial relationship, such as the brand brand paying you or giving you free or discounted products or services. As an influencer, it's your responsibility to make these disclosures, to be familiar with the endorsement guides, and to comply with laws against deceptive ads. Don't rely on others to do it for you. He ultimately switched from Stake to Roobet, but nowadays when you check his account, you can see in his bio there's no like link to anybody in his bio, so I guess that means that he just stopped. Regardless, he got a bag, it don't matter. But keep in mind, guys, that this is just one account. There's probably hundreds of different accounts that are sponsored by Stake. And when I say hundreds, I'm being very literal when I say that, because there has to be hundreds. They're constantly there. Just to provide a few examples, and keep in mind, this was not me actively trying to look for them. This was just me casually scrolling on Twitter and just seeing them here and keeping note of that. So let's see, you have Streamers Era, you have Akino, you have Kick Clips, you have yours truly, Killer Crew, Ladolph, and of course, DJ Academics' account, Academics TV. And once again, keep in mind, these are only a few of many. Now, with this many accounts being available, it has plagued Twitter heavily, and people have not been happy about it since then. It's gotten so bad to the point where there are literal tutorials posted on how to turn them off because it's just constant gambling ads everywhere. Even in my Young Philly video, which, yo, by the way, you should check out that video if you haven't checked it out. You should check it out. I've heard that video is pretty good. Even it has videos in it where I had to blur the gambling ads because it was just annoyingly there in the middle of the video when I was doing research. At least with Stake, you can kind of crop bitches. Obviously, with this becoming more and more of an annoyance to where they actually started to not only brand stream clips with the watermark at the bottom, but they even attach the ad to pictures now too. And honestly, that's where it gets too much. Though I won't lie, that is really funny that it's they're that serious about the advertising. Like, put it on that clip of that old grandma, please.
That's it.
It was even getting to community notes that I mentioned before, as each time a clip was posted with a Stake ad, they had to constantly remind people that this was not a disclosed ad and violated Twitch's TOS of promoting gambling sites. But because there were so many Stake ads all at once, community notes had to constantly do their job, making damn near the same community posts over and over. There was even a point where they actually had literally went crazy, and the notes would literally just be cries for help. I can't do this anymore. Enough with the Stake ads. I'm going insane. I miss my wife and kids. I couldn't leave the CN basement for who knows how long. Days feel like months. If anyone finds this note, tell my family I love them. This will be my last stop. And from there, the Twitter community went to war. A lot of people saw annoyance in this whole thing and ended up coming with a solution, which is finding the original picture or video and attaching it as a replay to own the libs. And this leads us into an account made called Fuck Stake, which I'm just gonna call FS from here on out because I'm not trying to censor myself every 5 seconds I mention this account's name. The entire gimmick of this account was very simple but very smart at the same time, and it says it all in the bio. Basically, they were posting memes without the watermark, and this would basically be the task of FS, and it ended up getting a lot of notoriety on Twitter, since who wouldn't love an account that takes away an aspect of Twitter that's universally found annoying and inconvenient? Shit, I was praising him and dropped him a follow, honestly. Now, FS would not only grab the hearts of the people, basically becoming the people's champion, like Rocky, but if he never went outside and was terminally online. However, one relationship that this account had blossomed and flourished was between the FS account and community notes.
Combination.
After seeing FS get to work, community notes noticed this. It was basically like love at first sight, like they were in an anime together swirling around like in the moon or something. I don't know. And community notes was completely smitten and under their spell, finding their true Prince Charming at a moment's notice. It was freaking beautiful, man. Community notes and FS would go back and forth like multiple times, and I never thought I would ever see community notes try and like flirt with an account before, but here we are. Here's just but like a few of the examples I was able to find of their beautifully and romantic relationship. Same image without the Stake ad. Then they responded and said, bro forgot the image. And he said, I forgot the image, what the hell? And he's like, alright, it's alright. We forgive you. -3. I'm actually dumb as hell, lol. No, you're not. We love you and your work. I just woke up. Good morning. I scheduled the tweet so it'd post while I'm asleep. Must have forgot to double check if I added it or not. That doesn't change your greatness. There were also tons of people that acknowledged this relationship and were doing some major shipping here, as the internet does. And I even managed to find art of this amazing, beautiful piece here. It's amazing, isn't it? Don't look at me like that, alright? If I have to see this, you do too. This would be short-lived, however, and on the fateful day of December 10th, 2024, the honeymoon phase was officially over, and we all had to see this account for what it is, a solid grift. I won't hold you. Now, this all started and was brought to the forefront by an account by the name of Terrible Twitter Accounts, who pretty much did all the research about FS and everything else that I'm going to cover in this video, so shoutouts to them for doing it. Also, I'm referring to them as TTA from here on out. It's too much of a mouthful. The unique and special thing about this account was that they apparently had been previously associated with Stake in the past, and therefore had some background info about how these deals work, and had some experience in sniffing out accounts that are deceptively partnering with Stake, but not disclosing it. Now, they had actually made an entire thread about this whole relationship that they had with Stake, so I'm gonna summarize it real quick. Now, this all started when they came into contact with a user named Harkits, and this account name will be very important later on, so keep that in mind. This person was partnered with Stake and wanted to spread the good word about being partnered and getting money, specifically talking about how easy it was and the significant amount of money that he was getting from it. Basically saying that they wanted to give him around 6K a month at one point. Keep in mind, this was for posting tweets with the watermark, and that's it. Once again, I'm telling you, Stake has money to spend. It's probably pocket change to them, honestly. It's like giving money to the homeless. Now, when joining the Discord of this user, Harkits had come to TTA with a proposition of giving them a Stake deal. And from there, they started to contact them on Telegram to see if they could net a deal with Stake as well, since it did pique TTA's interest. TTA at the time mentioned that the reason why they considered it was because they needed to pay for school, and their current job wasn't paying them very well. And so they decided to try their luck at it. Now, they had noticed a lot of strange accounts in the Discord which sounded off some alarm bells to dig into the company, specifically mentioning fan accounts based on the bald alpha dude who speaks funny and loves teenagers so much so that he would take them away from their home, and also noticed the association with Drake as well, who, as you guys know, has a lot of ties with gambling and whatnot. If this wasn't enough, TTA also noticed that Stake wasn't doing payouts to their own partners and were having awful communication off the jump, which was basically their final red flag to not go through with this further. So they decided to dip. After all, I mean, if you're gonna shill out and promote a gambling company, you gotta at least get the bag from it, you know? And that's pretty much it when it comes to their association, at least according to their thread. So it really wasn't like they even got to the point of working with Stake at all, which is crazy to imagine them being that bad at communicating with their partnered accounts, but it is what it is. So going back to what we were talking about before, TTA had gotten to work. With this unique perspective they have, they ended up creating the thread about the FS account, which was basically an expose released about them on December 10th, 2024. Now, you're probably wondering how an account that gets rid of Stake ads got to the position of working with Stake in the first place. Like that doesn't make any sense here, right? But what TTA found was insane, I will say that much. Now, they first start off by saying that they had first found FS after seeing another account which has a very similar gimmick called unsponsorships blow up in the Twitter cesspool, and saw an interesting contradiction. When unsponsorships would call out an account that was posting Stake ads, they would get completely blocked, which, I mean, makes sense, right? For example, one account called Pics That Go Hard, that's definitely sponsored by Stake, had blocked them fully and outright, and the same goes for another account called Worst Deleted Tweets. But when checking FS, which should have the same thing happen to them, I mean, calling them out is messed up, right? It actually didn't happen at all. They didn't block FS whatsoever. In fact, quite the opposite happened, because TTA noticed that the Stake account actually had followed accounts that were partnered with Stake alongside their own. Then in their Discord that FS had linked in their bio, TTA noticed something very interesting. Do you guys remember in the first thread that Harkits person that we mentioned beforehand that was offering TTA to talk with Stake about not getting them a deal? Well, it turns out that this whole time they were the ones that were not only running the Stake account, but also had a bunch of other accounts as well, and those other accounts were indeed sponsored by Stake. I know, crazy revelation. By the way, do you guys remember that Pics Go Hard account that blocked unsponsorships for outing them? Well, in the picture, you see that in broad daylight, the account was indeed owned by this same person. By the way, this picture is also going to be important later on, so take the Harkits out of your head since I now found the revelation, and now put that in your head again, because we're going to come back to it in a little bit. Also, this apparently meant that for some reason, this dude was talking to himself in conversation sometimes, which is very schizophrenic and odd, but I mean, I guess we all have our weird pastimes. Apparently, he was also gonna do this reveal where he admits he was working with Stake this entire time. Yeah, they're not doing that anymore. After this was posted, the thread blew up with 13 million views under its belt as of recording this. And everyone that saw the account was flabbergasted and heartbroken. It's literally the equivalent of Homelander killing those people on the plane, and the people on the plane are all of Twitter. Now, FS also had posted their reaction too. Basically, he said that he wasn't trying to hide it and was just waiting for other people to notice, which, like, if that's the case, why not put any of the accounts you associate with in the bio? What are you talking about? Also, why say that you're gonna do a big reveal if you weren't hiding the account from people in the first place? What are you talking about? Apparently, he was also spurging out on his Discord too, saying that the only money he stole was from stake and that no one gambled because of his other accounts. Once again though, that is not true. It's not stealing if you're doing exactly what they want. So that's just him like coping and trying to save face. Either way, there was copium on all fronts on FS's end. Community Notes, on the other hand, was well, devastated is putting it lightly. You betrayed us, an only wheel of hope. The one we looked upon stabbed our backs. This account is partnered with Stake and promotes gambling and that I can't do it. I can't do it. Baby, why? Little to say they were heartbroken about their partner crying being just as evil as the enemy. Then FS just basically deleted their entire account and were just Thanos snapped off the internet. And the only remnant you're gonna be able to find is if you type in the original @stake in the search bar. You go to this dude named Dalek. I am the most autistic Dalek. I like rainbows. Based. Before he nuked his account though, apparently FS offered terrible Twitter accounts $1,000 to delete the thread about his account. I don't really know how this would make a difference really, like your reputation is completely shot now, buddy, and it's not coming back at all. It's been seen by like 13 million people. And now that pretty much is the end of the story. A person makes the account, is found out to be a liar that completely went against what he advertised himself to be, and he just fucked off after that. However, there was recently an update that happened at the end of December regarding this guy and his accounts. Now apparently someone had actually tipped off Elon Musk himself, causing him to notice things like FS buying all of these accounts to promote Stake and made a statement on the whole thing. Please note that platform manipulation by buying large Twitter accounts and then using them to push paid narratives / scams will result in the annihilation of those accounts. Moreover, if a crime is involved, X will prosecute to the full extent of the law. Don't do it. Also, as a side note, because this was actually kind of crazy, he was buying all of these accounts for upwards of like $10,000, which is honestly crazy and makes me think that if the nigga had all of this money to throw around like this, I can only imagine how much Stake genuinely pays this dude. It has to be an insane amount. And as you can see, the accounts that he saw was directly tied to that one picture that TTA sent in his thread about him, which is why I said to keep in mind. See y'all? I would never steer you wrong. So because of that image, FS got most of those accounts completely shut down and suspended. And the reason they basically cracked down on him was because he was using these multiple accounts for promotion. For right now, he actually had claimed that he has more backup accounts that he can just restart, but I don't think he's gonna get to the point he was at before. I won't hold you. So now he's pretty much officially done and buried, with pretty much his whole list of accounts gone. As you can see, all of the accounts are completely suspended. He can't post on them anymore, and they have pretty much been deaded completely. But not before a complete crash out on his Discord. And when I say crash out, I mean like crash. He was crashing out. Fuck me, man. It's all gone. Ban him, bro. He's the one that started it all. It's his fault. By the way, this account that he links, that is TTA's account, and that's the original account that contacted Harkits in the Discord. Time to fucking kill myself. Hit all connections just to get packed regardless. You acting like I won't come back, dumbass. I'm not going away over some stupid shit. I'm enjoying it while it lasts. Yeah, okay, weirdo. Harkits, who we smoke. Bro, are you 13? LMAO! Just insert that like Wojak that has like the mask and then he's like sad underneath the happy mask. That literally is him right now. He's actually Malden. Also, if you guys feel any ounce bad for him, don't. He was apparently warned beforehand as well about this being against TOS, but he just literally called the person dumb and continued to do it. I mean, hey, look, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what I've learned. Also, it seems like after all of this, Community Notes is just traumatized at this point. I think Community Notes has PTSD from the Stake event, and now it's seeing its face anywhere. My doctor says it can't hurt me, but I see it every time I blink. Get that dude some therapy, my friend. Now, you're probably saying to yourself right now, well, I get it. You talked about the FS account. Why is Kira in the thumbnail? Like, why is Kira Won't Miss, who's a very popular Twitter account, why are they in the thumbnail? What the hell is going on? You haven't talked about that account at all. Well, guys, now is the time. Because according to TTA, there was something weird about Kira as well. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Kira Won't Miss, he's probably one of the most infamous Twitter accounts around, garnering millions, and I mean millions of views and likes with every post he gets. He's also notorious for posting this interesting thought experiment.
What the fuck kind of thought process is this?
This is probably the most infamous quote Kira has said, which actually had gotten his account suspended for a little bit. Anyways, other than that, he hasn't been in much drama really, considering all he does is post a bunch of jokes. And depending who you ask, they're either the most funny thing in the world or just complete cringe. The choice is yours. Anyways, this time he got quote unquote exposed by TTA, who at this point it's like CoffeeZilla, but for dumb Twitter accounts sponsored by Steak. Anyways, we now have to go through yet another thread. So yay, here we go. Let's go. Let's go. No, on the real though, I don't think this one has a lot in it, so this should be pretty easy to do. Now, this one starts off when TTA apparently had gotten tipped off by someone that said that Kira might be a partner with Steak, and proceeded to send pictures of them quote tweeting an account named Minga. Now, this would obviously be pretty weak on its own, but TTA noticed some similarities. Obviously, Kira's account isn't sponsored by Steak, but basically what the accusation here is that Kira owns the Minga account, and the one that is definitely sponsored by Steak, as you can see from the bio itself. And to get some engagement with the account, Kira engages with it every day to get money from his other Steak account. At least that's TTA's theory. The evidence that TTA provides is their bios being very similar, almost like how a person would label an alt account. Obviously, this doesn't tie to Kira automatically because of this, but this, on top of the fact that Kira posted this person almost every day at some point, does put some merit into listening further. I briefly looked through Kira's recent tweets. He posts this Minga guy almost every day, way more than any other account. Minga rarely gets over 30k views of tweets, so it's obvious when Kira quotes him. And then they provide evidence of multiple times where Kira daily reposts this account, at least throughout the month of December. And I guess the question would be, why quote retweet this random account so much if this was just a complete convenience and there were no ties to the individual at all? So TTA comes to the conclusion that there is one of two things happening. Either one, this is a friend of Kira's that he's promoting so Minga gets a bag, or that the account promised Kira to give them a certain percentage of the bag if he posts this account. Or it's Kira's alt, but honestly after looking at some posts, it seems like they're more of a fan of Kira if anything. So then Kira had actually responded, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised that he did, considering that that's just bringing more attention to it, but it's pretty long, so I'm just gonna summarize it for you. Basically, he says that TTA lied and doesn't have any proof of their claims, and that they never received anything from Steak and was never affiliated with them. So in my opinion, I don't think that Kira is lying here, though regardless, that still doesn't really disprove what he was claimed to be doing, which is once again, that it's either a friend or a person that Kira is working with and getting money out of. All they said was that they are not directly getting paid from Steak. So why not address these two claims if you've seen the whole thread? That's really interesting. Kira doesn't say anything about that and doesn't deny that, but denied something that TTA didn't even claim in their options. Then Kira accuses TTA of being partnered by Steak because all they tweet about is Steak ads and they know making shit like this will bring engagement. Now, I can give Kira the benefit of the doubt here, and maybe they don't know that TTA literally exposed a confirmed partner of Steak. So like, why would they do that if they were a Steak partner this whole time? That doesn't make any sense. Also, this is a very defensive response, I'm not gonna lie. Then Kira says in another tweet that he did have someone behind Steak offer him a deal, but according to him, he declined it. Though I won't lie, I don't know why he screenshotted the image with him cutting off a big part of his message, because that looks pretty suspicious, I'm not gonna hold you. Why cut the message off so much, dog? If you're innocent, just show the whole screen. Anyway, TTA responded to Kira's response in two screenshots. The first response is TTA disproving the claim that they were associated with Steak, which once again, with everything that I talked about, I think it's highly unlikely. I would even argue impossible. As for their second response, I will say here, in this, this, TTA is kind of undermining a little bit of what they were accusing Kira of, which they say that Kira was quote unquote friends with a guy that is partnered, but he also said another opinion was that Kira was getting paid to promote the account. So there's a bit of downplaying there for sure. I also saw some people argue an interesting point in the comments, which is the concept of any publicity is good publicity, and that talking about Stake in this manner, even if it's negative, is still getting their name out there to people. And that's a fair point, but I'm really not on board with this line of thinking. I mean, does CoffeeZilla talking about crypto scams make you want to get into crypto? I mean, it's still getting the name out there, no? What about that recent Honey scam video that came out? Does that technically promote Honey by that logic?
Now I know what you're thinking. It's a free browser extension. How bad could it be? Well, trust me, it's far more sinister than you might think. You know what they say, if a product's free, it's likely you're the product. And as you'll find out later in this investigation, that remains true for PayPal Honey.
Now, these examples are a lot less serious, of course, but I think you can still apply the logic here. If you still get into a product that gets shit talked, at that point you have to check yourself and wondering why you're falling for it. That's my opinion though. And then, an update came to the forefront that changed everything. At least on Twitter. Well, I think it's kind of weird. It's very complicated for no reason. Now, them being a gambling site, Stake hasn't been well liked among the countries they run. Like, for example, the UK. Apparently, they already had to stop promotion and revoke their UK gambling license all the way back in February of 2025 due to an ad that ran over there that had Bonnie Blue featured on it. You know, the OnlyFans model that filmed herself sleeping with a bunch of high school students.
Our next guest is one of the most controversial people online.
25-year-old Bonnie Blue from Derbyshire is making headlines around the world for filming herself having sex with teenagers and posting the footage online. She's been labelled a predator and has even been banned from Australia and thrown out of Fiji after planning to recruit the young men that she describes as barely legal to film with.
By the way, just to be clear, she is 25 years old. Grown-ass adult, by the way, sleeping with a bunch of high schoolers. Amazing, immaculate, I love it. Complete fucking freak, degenerate, weird fuck. God, I hate these people. Now, from what I understand, the ad that she was in was seen as them more trying to appeal to younger people. And because of that, coupled with the fact that, you know, Bonnie Blue is a fucking loser, that caused that entire fiasco to go down. But this time, they would get in even worse trouble with the good old US of A. But what happened exactly? Now, just for a little bit of backstory so that once again we're all caught up to speed, business for Stake in America began in August of 2022, where they officially launched their website, where people could basically start their betting journey. And business was booming, with them even being recognized by many as one of the largest private online gambling companies. However, while this was the case, issues started to creep up in California on April 8th, 2025, in which an update came up which announced that Stake in the US was facing multiple lawsuits for their gambling site being illegal. So here you can see it says Stake floods social media platforms with slick ads, influencer videos, and flashy visuals, making its games seem safe, fun, and harmless. So doing an extra 15 minutes of research, as I always do, I wanted to find out what was specifically going on, and it seems the main things that the complaint listed was the claim that the site was specifically targeting residents from California due to it asking people to say which state they reside in when they first register. On top of them also claiming that its privacy policies were also tailored to Californians as well. Now, the second thing they claim is that the algorithms Stake uses aren't random and have what they call through quote-unquote playthrough requirements that encourage continued gambling. Now, another thing they seem to mainly try to get Stake on was their entire thing on their sweepstakes and how exactly that works for them. So here's some more information here on California lawsuit targeting Stake and sweepstakes gaming model. So it says here, according to the lawsuit, Stake.com allows California residents to engage in casino-style gambling despite California's prohibition on it. The operator has circumvented California law by disguising real money gambling under a sweepstakes model, a strategy likened to that of internet sweepstakes cafes that became prominent around the early 2000s. The plaintiff alleges that Stake's current operations are similar in form and function, comparing the company's model to those sweepstake cafes that were later deemed illegal. The complaint outlines how both types types of operations relied upon a loophole in the law to offer gambling products to the public without satisfying licensing and regulatory standards. Now, if they are able to prove this, and if this ends up being true, that is not good, because not only, like I said, it's illegal, but on top of that, it would blatantly violate California's unfair competition law, and they would get into a lot of trouble. Now, Stake did have a spokesperson that provided a statement about the suit and their opinions on it. They said, courts in the state have generally supported the legality of social casino and promotional sweepstakes models like ours, and we're confident the legal process will reflect that. Once again, we don't know a lot about the lawsuit because it is ongoing, so where it goes from there, we'll see. But guys, this isn't all though, as not too long after, they then had a very similar lawsuit that was filed in a completely different state, Illinois. So it says Stake US, a platform offering social casino games, is facing a class action lawsuit initiated by an Illinois resident, Brendan Urban, who is representing himself and others in comparable situations. The lawsuit contends that Stake US operates as an unlicensed and illegal online casino, misleading users by marketing its games as casual and risk-free while alleging functioning as an online gambling site in violation of Illinois laws. The lawsuit claims that the rebranding of the platform aims to mislead both regulators and consumers into perceiving it as a provider of harmless social games rather than illegal gambling. According to the suit, Stake US is portrayed as a virtual clone of Stake.com, a crypto-based gambling platform deemed illegal in many US states. And to be fair, that is a very good point. Where I guess the differences on how they operate on Stake.com compared to Stake.us, I feel like there's a lot of questions there that can definitely be questioned for sure. And yeah, once again, these are lawsuits that have come up very, very recently. So we'll see how it ends up and what they end up finding, because they could find some very, very harmful stuff that would be illegal. And considering that this is a casino online betting service, I'm not gonna sit here and take any side or whatever, but I will say we know that casinos always operate in very shady business to keep you there as long as possible. Little subtle things that you wouldn't even pick up on. So I can very easily see something similar happening on Stake.us. Not saying that's the case, I'm not saying that's definitely happening, but I can see it happening. That's all I'm gonna say. So little to say, these are putting Stake in some pretty hot water right now. And honestly, I can see this getting way worse for them if the lawsuits are successful, which it's seeming like it is, since going back to the California lawsuit, there was apparently a recent update that it's now actually being moved from a state court to a federal court. So, it's not looking good, bruv. Now, if you go to the website on Stake.us, it's operating regularly. It seems like it still has a lot of people using the account, and it doesn't seem like anything's going on. That's like a huge thing. We'll see what happens in the near future, but yeah. Now, the question is, why the hell did I bring all that mumbo jumbo up? Why? What is the relevance here to all the Twitter accounts and stuff that we've been talking about? Well, them being in this much legal trouble has caused them to pretty much halt any of the promotions they had on Twitter, with the CEO, Mladen Vukovic, even speaking up and saying something about it. So he provided this statement saying, after careful consideration, we have decided to permanently halt any paid advertisements to X users. We have spoken to each representative individually to explain our decision, and we are deeply regretful to let these people go. We will continue operating as a company as usual, and have given all users affected a free £5 bet on this week's Champion League games. We don't want to name any names, but a certain Man United fan channel is to blame for all of this. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little confusing with what's right versus what's wrong, starting off with this exact statement. So when this statement originally came out, a lot of people saw it through the Fearbug Twitter account that reported on it, and it gained a lot of attention. The only issue is that there's actually a community note under it. So they say, this is not true. Stake has made no such statement. The statement shown is a joke about a Manchester United fan page. And then they just like link to Stake website. I don't okay, cool. That's great. Through everything that we've covered, this is really weird that Community Notes was running defense for Stake, considering that from what I thought, this was like their biggest op. I thought they would be fucking celebrating off the roof. Now, Fearbug then responded to said Community Note saying this. Here you can see the screenshot where he screenshotted the Community Note, and then he says, note is wrong. I have a confirmation from a reliable source that works at Stake that they have stopped. Now check accounts that usually put Stake logo on clips, and you'll see they've all stopped today. Now Now, once again, it gets confusing here because he is right. You can check this with many of the accounts that I've listed in this video, where they don't even feature the stake watermark in their videos anymore and have like an @ watermark on their video instead. Just to show you guys an example, you guys know there was the DJ Academics account, which I showed had the stake logo on there. But if you check their account now, you can see here Academics TV, and you see that it does not have the stake logo anywhere, not in the affiliate link or anything, not in the bio. And other accounts kind of just have moved on to a different gambling company. So for example, this one has Game Dom on here with Killer Crew. So as you guys can see here, they don't have the stake logo anywhere. This is a post where they'll have just like their personal watermark on there. But if you go back all the way, as you can see, this was Killer Crew like using the watermark each time they posted a tweet about basically like anything, and they would have the stake watermark there. But starting past March 11th, which Fearbuck said was that point, he stopped featuring the watermark in his videos. As you can see, you can scroll up from here, and besides this watermark here, there's really no stake anywhere in it. I was gonna show off the Academics TV account doing that, but that nigga tweets way too fucking much. I'm not scrolling through that much, man. So I think we can come to the conclusion that there was something that happened behind the scenes that caused this mass purge of that content. Now, this could be for a variety of reasons. This could be just because they just randomly stopped, which I highly doubt. It's probably like the least likely reason in my opinion. This could also have something to do with maybe something that Elon and his team did behind the scenes, because they did respond to all of this stuff happening, having to do with the drama that we talked about before with TTA. Or it could be because of the lawsuits right now. Maybe it has something to do with that, and they just like stopped working with them because maybe that would incriminate them somehow or something. I have no idea. And that also really goes if they stop business with every single account, because there are occasions, and I have seen this, where they'll still have the stake logo put on videos that were relatively recent. This one I'm going to put on screen was from a show that came out on Netflix not too long ago, and it features the stake logo right there on it. It's right there. It is safe to say, and from what we can come to the conclusion to, the whole stake apocalypse where every account had the stake watermark on them is pretty much gone, and they had stopped working with a lot of the people that they were previously working with. And now, since there's this gap in the market, now other gambling brands have pretty much entered in and are trying to take over the market that was now lost. The two gambling companies that I see most nowadays when I scroll through Twitter are Chips.gg and Gamdom, where they'll basically do the same strategy as Stake, with them working with Twitter accounts, and they would do the same thing, attaching the logo to a completely irrelevant piece of media. Obviously, Chips.gg and Gamdom aren't the only ones that do it. I've seen clips with RainBet on it, as I've said before, like this one here with Sportsbet. It's not like this is like a completely new thing, it's just that Stake had run the market and now pretty much gone now. Now, at the end of the day, does this really matter? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It doesn't at all. Well, besides the whole lawsuit stuff that happened after I recorded this part, the general opinion still stands though. It's not like people never knew what Stake was before this, and honestly, the watermark is more considered a meme than anything at this point. And even if all the accounts get banned, it's not like it's gonna make Stake bankrupt. They constantly shit out money all the time. So ultimately, none of this really matters in the grand scheme of things. Also, I don't think most of these accounts that are sponsored are like heinous, evil individuals. I think a lot of them are like TTA. I think they just saw an opportunity to get paid for doing something that they were doing anyway and decided to go along with it just because. They might have bills to pay, they might be unemployed or something, and this is just a way for them to get money. Is it immoral to promote Stake or any other gambling company for that matter? Well, honestly, that's really up for y'all to decide for yourselves. I shouldn't be the one telling what you should think. You guys should be able to make that distinction yourself. I guess that all begs the question, why the hell am I talking about this in the first place? Well, one, because the situation is pretty funny, all things considered. And two, because I've been looking into and covering some pretty dark topics recently, and it's not like that's really gonna stop or anything, but I did want to at least switch it up sometimes to cover something that's pretty low stakes. You see what I did there? In conclusion, don't use Stake and don't gamble. It's bad for you. Uninstall CSGO off your computer, you filthy degenerate. No one cares about your loot boxes. And I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye!